there's a much better response. Some of you probably already guessed it. Because if you present somebody with many happening, you're going to start generating confusion disorder in his system. It takes time for him to sort out what's going on. You're trying to stretch out his time. Make it difficult for him to adapt. Stretch him out. Because while you're stretching him out, in the meantime, you do something else, and you have to stretch him from there, too. That, in turn, multiplies your opportunities to get into his gaps, exposed lines, and vulnerable areas. That, in turn, allows you, then, to splinter his organism and develop his disconnecting remnants at all levels, tactical, grand tactical, strategic. In other words, you have belt inside belt inside belt, not only thrust them in, they're just pull them literally apart. In other words, the inverse goes with the depending on cooperative centers of gravity. So you can't function as an organic whole. You can't get a focus and direction. Focus, you want something of that. Incidentally, when I talk about tactical, grand tactical, strategic, in the military sense, normally think of tactical up to about when you talk about in terms of levels, up to about division, grand tactical, or nowadays they like to call it the operational level. From division up to army group, and strategic army up group to theater and beyond. So when I talk about levels, you see that sense. It's not exactly that, they tend to do it in that sense. So now if we glue all that together, we can lay out what I call, in a sense, what we call the essence of the blister. It's real. So we're kind of pulling them together. I think somebody I was talking to right after the last break, as a matter of fact, talking about this campaign. Teams start coming unglued, people start departing the scene and everything else. They don't want to be part of a losing campaign. That's what happens. Talking about that. If you can put that pressure on your adversary and cause him to start coming unglued in certain areas, then he starts losing his allies, and it makes it even more difficult for him to cope. Okay? Another question you get here later on. Blitz results. Here, I'm talking about Poland here. They advanced through France and referring to Pac here. Manchuria, I'm talking about the Russians against the Japanese Kwantung Army. Middle East, the Israelis, Russians in 68 against Czechoslovakia. Once again, the Israelis again after they got their action unsuccessful. Russia, winner 41-42. Partial reasons of lack of success. Only partial, the winner was it. There's some more fundamental reasons I'll get on later on. Russia, fall winner 42-43. Here I'm referring to the Caucasus-Stalingrad campaign. And interestingly enough, initially the intent of that operation was to mask off Stalingrad and try to conquer the Caucasus. Instead, Hitler decided he wanted to take Stalingrad. And of course, when they did that, they started going strength against strength, violating strength against weakness. And of course, the whole thing turned into a debacle. North Africa, 42. Here I'm referring to Rommel against the British. Initially, Rommel had great successes against the British, but eventually the British, by reading his communications, cut his lines of communication, overwhelmed them and did him in, as you well know. And one of the big reasons, of course, initially when they did have the advantage, of course, Hitler was treated as a peripheral theater because he was occupied elsewhere and didn't give Rommel the forces and that he needed in order to do the job. It might have turned out different. In any case, Russia, summer 43. Here I'm referring to the Battle of Kursk. The Russians got wind of what the Germans were up to through their own intelligence and methods. The Germans were trying to pinch out what's called the Kursk salient. And since the Russians knew where the onslaught was coming, either very near or in that Kursk salient, they stashed in there roughly 1.4 million men. And the Germans leaked off with about 750,000. And since they not only knew what the Germans were up to, they had even their initial axes of advance where they were coming from, then they could figure out the way they could adapt too. Of course, the thing resulted in a disaster for the Germans. They lost the Battle of Kursk. And then, of course, the Ardennes. That was against ourselves, America. Again in December 16, 1944. They there were two penetrations. There was a northern penetration and a salient that came in. It was the 6th SS Panzer Army under C. Dietrich. And the southern sector was the 5th Panzer Army under Wehrmacht commander Manteuffel. The Schwerpunkt was assigned to Dietrich, the 6th SS Panzer Army. They got hung up. The commanders tried to prevail upon Hitler to shift the Schwerpunkt. He did not. By the time he did, in the meantime, Manteuffel got stopped. So the whole thing, they lost their flexibility and adaptability to the staff. In other words, what you see happening as time went on, we see a more centralized top-down command and control system beginning to exist in the German system. So what's my point? We see in Poland, for example, Hitler levied a general intention upon the German army. They carried it out. He did not interfere in operations. For the most part, in France, he did that. Except remember, it did stop the Panzers outside of Dunkirk, and of course the British got out of Dunkirk. But as time went on, he began to impose himself more and more in the operational aspect of the war. Until finally we got the Ardennes very deeply involved, very highly centralized command control system. It raised an interesting question. Why did Hitler gravitate towards such a system? Why did he do that? And of course, every German officer that I talked to always came up with the same answer. He did not trust his commander. In other words, his system was based upon mistrust, not trust. Now, if you go back to Napoleon, it was the same thing, in a different sense. Remember, he held a grand design in his mind, didn't trust his commanders. Not only that, he knew what he picked, so we're sinkable. Do what he wanted. Of course, politicians don't do that either. We're getting down to fundamentals. And so we see that kind of thing. So if you pick those kind of people, then you have to live with the result. But the key thing is, when you begin to think about it, when you let that all that information wash over your brain, all of a sudden a fundamental truth comes out. All centralized command and control systems are based upon mistrust. Otherwise, why do you need it? Otherwise, why do you need it? They're all based on this. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have one. In fact, the other way. To illustrate, you people have some of the same problems. In Balks, I use him because he says it so well, articulates it so well. Look at it. Let's pretend you're division commander. Because, you know, you get a little pick of who you're going to get from the personnel people. They're also going to send you what you don't want because you're not going to get the pick of the litter. The other guys have to take the grade. And he said, so what you really are faced with, the people that are good, you want to allow to put them in a long leash. The people who are not so good, you're going to watch them very carefully because they're going to get you in trouble. But what does that suggest? Instead of talking about any one kind of a command and control system, you're talking about a multi-dimensional command and control system. Now, if you have smart electronics, you're going to feed your command and control system. That's hard to do. Instead, you tend to get the lowest common denominator, the one that feeds the people who are going to get you in trouble. Now it tends to become more rigid. Military, all these fusion centers and all that, explicit detailed orders. I can cite example after example that have done that deal I did. That's one reason. Another reason is you might want to do it. So that's based upon mistrust because it should be. These guys are going to get in trouble. Another reason is, even if people are gifted, is you're talking about strategic items like nuclear weapons. You're not going to let a guy, you're not going to give him a lot of freedom of action. He may launch a couple of megatons. That's based upon mistrust. It should be. So you want to keep those kinds of things in mind. When you go to centralized command and control with very detailed instructions based upon mistrust, the question is, if not, why do you need it? I mean, there might be good reasons. You have to keep that in mind. Very important. Okay, with that in mind, let's shift gears now and go to guerrilla warfare. This is my most dense chart, just a little bit more than the other one. Modern guerrilla campaign. I'll let you read this. Take your time reading because this is the kind of things that are more closely aligned with you people involved in. Note the first bullet. Capitalize on discontent and mistrust. You know your adversary. You know there's going to be problems there. You want to exacerbate it. taking place here in East Vermont. Very high political content, you can see. Some of these things I don't recommend for your campaign, though. Why not? Some of the more sharper aspects.
Well, what's wrong with Ross again?
Yeah, you do that more like that. But you see what's going on. Many things are going on here. There's a couple things I want to draw your attention. First of all, remember we talked about the blitzkrieg, or normal, or what I call, you might say, conventional operations. They tend to be on the destructive character. But here you see two kinds of things. They're destructive in one sense, but there's also constructive in other sense. You're trying to build up allies on your side at the same time, build up your system. In particular, I try to make that vivid with this particular bullet right here. We're trying to do that. Remember what Sun Tzu said. Know your enemy, know yourself. He was only 2/3 correct. You have to know your enemy, know yourself, and know those others out there. Those third parties, the uncommitted. And you think about it, in a political campaign, you have the same problem. You have to know yourself, know your enemy, and the people that are going to vote. See, we like to say, well, in the military, there's the bad guy and we're the good guy. There's also other people looking on. If you misbehave, he's going to build up the allies. You become isolated. Now you have a hard time making a take or not taking a case. So in that sense, Sun Tzu only had a 2/3. Know your enemy, know yourself, and the uncommitted third parties, potential adversaries, whatever you want to call them. Very important. You've got to keep that in mind. I normally bring it out later, but I'd have to deal with you people being political business, you bring it out now, since we're talking about this particular chart. But I think you get the drift of what's going on here. Both a destructive and a constructive effort. Destructive, where you're trying to make your adversary so he can't play, destroy his stability, build up yours, and suck the people over to your side. Looks pretty different. So then, when you begin to look at it, you say, in a sense, and here's the essence of a guerrilla campaign. You have the destructive part here, and the constructive part here. In some sense, we had problems in Vietnam because we were going to handle out a few trinkets and good stuff that's going to establish a line. That doesn't work. We really get in it. Trust work.
The language problem.
Language for a big problem. That's correct. Very big problem. And the intent for it. And of course, the implication. They can penetrate your adversary's moral, mental, and physical being. Very little. Get right in there. Generate those. At the same time, they build up their moral, mental, and physical being. So you will have both destructive and constructive effort. So if we look back, let's tie a few things together now. Remember, we talked about 19th century capitalism, global revolutionary strategy, modern guerrilla campaign. Pull it together, what's that underlying strategic philosophy? So the redundancy or summation here. I really can't overemphasize. Think of it this way too. You all have certain friends. When you're with somebody, you get to share their experience over time. There's certain delicate things you don't say. They're going to. We all know that. Just mentally say that's forbidden territory. Talk about it myself. Just something automatically do. Well, then turn the argument around. You know, your adversary try to find out those hidden things in a delicate way, bring it out, so he comes unglued, and you leverage on it. You don't want to see like you're a party if you got to come out, so he does it to himself. It looks like you're a party, but you also destroy your own morals. You really can't morally isolate somebody. That's very important to know. In politics, you well know, in one sense, you want to isolate your adversary and build up your support. Likewise, don't have that happen. Basically, that's the danger. But there's three aspects of isolation: moral, mental, and physical. You can physically isolate somebody. No, if you're not. Mentally, you can isolate somebody, which I'll tell you later on. Morally, you can't. He has to isolate himself. I'll give him that later. You really can't isolate. He has to do it. Of course, you set things up so he dives into it. That's up to him. You really can't do that. He has to do it. Okay? Now, here's an insight. Now, we're always talking about support of the people. What the hell does that mean, have support of the people? Let's take that on. Get a deeper appreciation for that. In fact, you people probably already do, since you're political beings, some military people. So pick it up. Implicit connections are bonds. Implicit connections with shared experiences, with shared values. We talked about it. You have to be able to blend into the emotional, cultural, intellectual environment. You can't stand apart. It doesn't work. You got to get right in that thing. You're breathing and thinking and seeing the way they do. That's why they put people in to do that. Because when you do that, then you become one with the people. You do have those implicit connections or bonds. In this sense, what you're doing, then the people's feelings and thoughts become gross feelings and thoughts. You can build up the way they think. Remember what I told you earlier, if you have too sharp an ideology, what's going to happen, that's going to inhibit that process. You've got to be able to see it from their viewpoint. Once you understand that, then guerrilla feelings and thoughts become people. In other words, you can start working the fact them so you can start getting them going your way. It takes time. And the result, if you do it correctly, guerrillas become indistinguishable from the people when government is separated or isolated from the people. In other words, they have nothing to run. They can't figure out why they lost. Then they all start pointing fingers at one another, which we're still doing over Vietnam. The military is blaming the Congress. The Congress, they don't know who the hell they're blaming, and people out there trying to figure out who's at fault. And the veterans are coming back and says, we got screwed. Look around. Remember, you've seen the thing is that you've heard Weinberger make a statement. We're not going to another campaign without the support of the people. Remember, he laid out those 6 points or whatever. You're going to have one of the key ones. First, you have to have an aim or goal, and there's some other ones there. But also, we're not going to get into another goddamn military operation without the support of the people. Well, if that's the case, then we had every right to go in Vietnam because the people did support that operation when we went in. But they didn't later on, and that's the key question. Why not? So on that basis, we had every right to go in Vietnam. You go back and read the literature at the time we went in there. They support America. Of course, they lost it. Good question. Why? We don't like to answer that question. There's a good reason. We don't like to answer. I'll get into it later on. Just hang on.
How do you defend against that?
Pardon?
How do you defend against that?
I'll get into it later. No. In fact, we're almost there. I'm laying it all blitzkrieg and row. We're later on with a counter blitz and counter drill. Right now I'm just shoving it all in one direction. Okay? So then, if you look at it, if you look at a guerrilla campaign, or political campaign, and note what I say here, not only demonstrate government, world government, but cause government to alienate itself from the people. You know how we don't understand? We say the people are alienated from the government. That's not true. The government literally alienates itself from the people. That's what you want. Alienate itself. And of course, the other side is to bring the support of people to your side. Don't alienate the people. The government alienates itself from the people. Remember what I said. You're talking about alienation. In fact, I'll give you 3 code words. If you're talking about cutting or severing lines of communication, in a sense, you're talking about disconnection or separation. They call it severance or separation. If you're talking about mental isolation, physical isolation, you're talking about cutting lines of communication. Code word, disconnection or separation. If you're talking about mental isolation, anybody give me the code word for that? No. Disorientation. When many isolated, disorient. The code word for moral isolation, alienation. Now the military, you go back in history, they're always talking about cutting guys' lines of communication in the physical sense, but they don't really come to grips with the mental isolation or the moral isolation. Remember what I told you, physically you can isolate somebody, mentally you can, morally he's got to do it himself. Get back. Okay? Let's look at some results here, real results. It's incomplete list. American colonies. Here we flagged the redcoats, down here we became the redcoats. We're in full circle. Okay. I don't want to go through all of them. Unsuccessful. Philippines. We're talking about Philippine insurrection, turn of the century. We did some interesting things here when you read the history. Too bad we didn't learn from it. We start out badly, but then some people start thinking, hey, this is stupid. We got to change our act. We made it pay off. South Africa. This is the Boer War, the British. Caused the British enormous trouble. And in a sense, I really put it in the wrong column. In a sense, it should be over here. Because even though the British got the Boers to sign up for the armistice, the only way they could do so is by giving them some very easy terms, and the Boers got their independence later on anyway. So in a sense, that's a misnomer, only because they signed up for the armistice. We're familiar with these. Greece, just toward the end of World War II and beyond. Philippines. And here, the Philippines is an interesting case. A gentleman by the name of Ramon Magsaysay came on the scene about 1950, with about 2 years, turned a disaster into a victory. Almost going down to 2. He was a very gifted guerrilla leader. Note the word guerrilla leader. You know what he was? He was a guerrilla working for the government. He used their techniques against them. Against the guerrilla. So we see that, of course, in the Milan experience. Okay, with that in mind, let's see a sort of a common theme that creeps up between the two. The essence of it. First of all, you don't necessarily go for the battle. I'm not saying you should avoid all battles, but that shouldn't be your preferred solution. Avoid the battle. Instead, you want to cut up his organic integrity, as indicated by the statement. You got to penetrate his system, subvert, disrupt, or seize those connection centers, etc., that allow him to operate as organic whole. You exploit these qualities. The idea is to generate surprise and shock and reproduce it over and over again. That in turn allows you to roll up or wipe out those isolated or disconnected debris in the system. And if you think about that, the intent then becomes a natural consequence of all of it. That's what you realize. That's what you realize. Break is complete, paralyze them, collapse. Incidentally, I'll show you an example of this connection percenter. I lifted out of the book. Israeli example, 1949 by Yaniv. Same idea there. So it raises a rather interesting question. Why have they been so extraordinarily successful with the tactics they have? And here's the message and the underlying idea. Let's read it very quickly and then I'll comment on it. Once again, let's invert the argument. Let's assume